Good morning and not good afternoon the day before, and welcome to the AutoTalk Weekly Wrap Express Edition. When this goes live, I'm probably going to be somewhere over the Indian Ocean, I suspect, winging my way in Emirates business class, which is lovely. Maybe standing in the bar about now. To Germany to drive some vans, some Ford Transits. So that is where I'm going to be. Where are you going to be, Graham, when this goes live at 10 a.m. on a Friday morning?
Meanwhile, I'm going to be back on the ground down here in West Auckland, holding down the fort. Thank you very much. So, but while you're having a little personal, little moment up there in the skies, we'll be probably not thinking of you. But, thanks for sharing anyway.
You will be. You love business class as much as the next guy. So.
Who doesn't? But I can just never afford to get there. That's all. I'm sitting watching my flight for next week because I've put in for a premium economy upgrade to Denver, and I'm watching, and nothing's come through. We're down to 5 days to go, and still nothing's come through. And I put a pretty good offer in too, but I have a sneaking feeling, having talked to Air New Zealand, that it ain't gonna happen. So I'm economy all the way to Denver.
I've been trying to get back to Elite so I can sell you upgrades, but it's
this is what we do, folks, on the show. When we're not talking about cars online, Richard's busily flogging you off upgrades on business class flights, and we're probably trading CO2 credits. Can I tell you what's changed here at Croydon's? This is really interesting, though, in terms of things that have changed. So for anybody who's a dealer out there involved in your marketing of your yard, so I take all the photos for the dealership, and I have a particular place I like to take photos out the front, nice blue skies, trees, fluffy bunnies, all that sort of stuff. And for a long time there, one of our neighbours next door, in fact, still is our neighbour next door, we had a head shop, in other words, one of those used to be called Switched On Gardener, a place that sells indoor gardening material. And they got raided several times. And that's right. They got raided several times. They've changed their name and they still sell indoor gardening equipment. But then, of course, across the side of the road, we then had a company that did portable toilets. And they would insist on parking this big mobile portable toilet billboard across the road from where I take all my photos. And so for the last year, I've been dealing with a mobile billboard that says, Bob's Portable Poo Shack or something like that written on it across the side of the road for my photos. And you sort of got to angle it around. Well, Bob's Portable Poo Shacks have moved out, and it's been replaced with now an adult toy shop. So now I've gone through. Now I've got dildos in the back of my shot instead. I'm thinking, for the bar of a Serena, I've been taking a Serena photo. I'm thinking, I wonder if they're going to notice. And I'm reading their photo, looking at it, thinking, they're going to notice. They're going to know. They're going to know.
Is it going to attract people? Is it going to attract or detract? That's the question. Does it add the photo, or is it subtract from the photo?
Well, I was thinking we could do a one-stop shop sort of a deal, where you buy one, get one free sort of thing, or, once you've stocked up on your, edibles and other bits and pieces, you can move across the road and buy a car, or vice versa. We could do packages. I've got a better shot at doing that than I had portable toilets, let me tell you.
Of course, in the world of AI now, you could be using a piece of software that basically just, you have your background in a nice and clean set up thing, and it just automatically slaps the photo on there that it's taken and enhanced from the auction lane. I know. It's always about a 10 pixel shot. I guess it's about the good photos are about catching the person's eye as they're scrolling through the feed of vehicles, and if there's a giant cock behind it, that's going to catch the eye.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yep. Yeah. I should. Yeah, I'll think about that for my next series. But anyway, that's my world.
Anyway, from giant cocks on to the news, and this is the Express Edition. So we're going to rattle off as many stories as we can in a short period of time, so that I can go to the airport. Right. But first, let's just mention that the AutoTalk magazine was out last week. Lots of stuff there from our conference, a few other great items in there as well. And you can, and a bit of reporting from my trip to China as well. We discuss AI and dealerships. We talk a little more about Colin Giltrap and talk about retirements and a few movements around the place. You can go and download that free now at autotalk.co.nz. Now, story of, I guess, the last week so it's about a week or so old now, is like we've been going for a couple of weeks, is dealers ordered to pay back CCD rebates on nearly 200 EVs. I would have thought this was
no surprise.
May have a few more cars than that, and maybe they're being a little bit nice to these dealers who are having a hard winter. NZTA reckons that nearly 200 cases involve car dealers pocketing EV subsidies of up to $7,000 on an EV under the clean car discount, CCD then breaking the law by selling them on too quickly. The dealer signed declarations saying they would keep the cars as demonstration courtesy or company vehicles for at least 3 months, but did not comply. Yes, there were an awful lot of cars out there, and there still remain today vehicles that are listed with, often I think they've, for some reason, have branded plates rather than their actual number plates sitting on them. But if you look really closely, you can see the registration label tucked away in the window. Yeah, this was to be expected. Yeah.
I'm surprised it's only 200, to be honest, Richard. I thought there'd be a lot more than that. But and again, we've had this discussion before, and I'm going to keep it brief. But when you make a system that is a subjective to people's interpretation around the grey area of the rules, then what do you really expect is going to happen? And I know that's not making it excusable, but I thought the stack deck thing I thought would stop a lot of people in their tracks. We had we got a Leaf courtesy car. It was actually one of our shop cars that we plated. It's running around as we speak, and we had to go through the whole stack deck thing, and it made you think before you signed the form. You really had to stop and think for a second, and I would have thought that'd be a pretty significant barrier before you went and put it in your name. But again, money. Well, yeah. And there it was. It was free money on the table if you were brave enough to take it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Speaking of free money on the table, my electric vehicle, it's still not got road user charges on it. Well, we've got two, and one of them does because my niece had to do a driving test. We wanted to be careful. But our main one, 31st of May, that's when it's getting it. If they're going to give you a window, you take it.
Now, I've got a quick point to make on this. And Richard, you and I have talked about this a couple of days ago. So for those of you at home listening right now, this is not news to us. I discovered that when you go and put road user on your EV, it's a self-declaring system as to what the start date is on your odometer reading when you buy your road user. Think about that for a second, won't you? It's a self-declaring system. And I raised the point. I drive a diesel vehicle as it is now, so I'm well versed with road user charges. In all my how many years of driving diesel cars and trucks, which would be, I'm going to say around 12, I have never once yet been stopped by Mr. Policeman and said, "Can I have a peek inside your window for a second to check your odometer reading, please, sir?" Never once, not ever, never in the history of. So there seems to be a little bit of a gap.
Yeah. I had mine checked once in 1998.
Okay, then rest my case.
In the middle of the Whitford village. So yeah, I think like 25 years.
Anyway, just think about it for a second. I'm not suggesting you should do anything you shouldn't do, but if it's a self-reporting system and you open the door and you open the window and say, interpret how you will.
I still think the level of fraud is going to be lower on electric vehicles than it is on diesel vehicles, personally. No offense.
Are you saying they're all a bunch of pious twats, or that they're regular people?
No, I'm saying there's an element there. There's an element of diesel vehicle drivers out there that we both know, Graham, have gotten very good at putting what they call defeat devices or switches on their systems to make the Odo stop going around. I mean, I'm sure you've looked at a few courier van trade-ins that say they have a virginal 170,000 kilometers on the clock, and you're looking at them going, "This thing's seen the far side of 500,000."
Well, when we were doing repos or evaluating repos, one of the finance companies, we did a lot of courier vans, and we had a couple of occasions where the owner of the vehicle post-repossession would scurry down to the storage lot to, in front of us, remove his defeat device because he needed it for his next van. So, yeah, we've said it all before. Sure, have at it. Off you go. So, yeah, 100,000 house. Anyway, carry on.
That's a bit of fun. On something a little bit less fun, Suki New Zealand executive killed in car crash. So Suki New Zealand's executive general manager of motorcycle, marine and after sales, Simon Mead, died on May 18 following a motor vehicle crash. He leaves behind his wife and 3 children. Colleagues and friends remember him as a dedicated and focused individual who made significant contributions to the industry and motorcycle racing. He did over 25 years with Suzuki New Zealand. In 2018, he had taken over the Marine Division as well. Statement from Suzuki says that it was heavy hearts and great sadness we advised the passing of Suzuki New Zealand stalwart Simon Mead on Saturday 18 after a tragic car accident. Simon was far from just an employee and became a great friend and mentor to many of us at Suzuki New Zealand, our dealers, and everyone he dealt with. Is instrumental in Suzuki New Zealand's success over the last 25 years and has been pivotal in helping make Suzuki the company we are today. Primarily involved in the motorcycle department and more recently the introduction of Suzuki Marine and then after sales. He was someone who never stopped looking for and mastering any challenge that was put in front of him, always pushing himself and everyone around him to be the best they could be. I understand he was still dedicated to the company when it happened. It was Saturday and he was on his way to the boat show. So, working to the end.
This is terrible news. It's just really terrible news.
I don't believe I ever met Simon in person. I did speak to him on the phone a couple of times. Nice guy, great to talk to. And real sad loss for the industry, particularly at a time when Suzuki New Zealand's it's just been through a little bit of a leadership change as well. There'll be some devastated people there. His funeral will be next Tuesday in Wanganui, of course, the home of Suzuki New Zealand. And I believe there is a live stream notice on that story on autotalk.co.nz. The OCR is to remain at 5.5%. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand Monetary Policy Committee has agreed to keep the official cash rate at 5.5%. Says restrictive monetary policy has reduced capacity pressures in the New Zealand economy and lowered consumer price inflation. Annual consumer price inflation is expected to return to within the committee's 1% to 3% target range by the end of 2024, which means they'll be able to take the foot off our throats. I feel like this was to be expected because both the Reserve Bank and the government, I think they're just wanting us to take all our medicine at once, aren't they? Basically, let this year be bloody awful, and then everything can start to return to normal next year. Knocking on wood, maybe-ish.
But my worry is that the pieces will be so fragmented by that from the train wreck it's creating out there. There won't be much. I mean, that's a bit to see. I know there's always going to be something to rebuild, but it is so hard out there. And I'm sure a lot of you right now are shaking your heads thinking, getting through till 2025, we're trying to pay the bills next week. It's carnage out there. Retail in general is just carnage. And I'm not quite sure. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen an economy like it is at the moment. And not in our industry, but in others as well. I'm just not too sure how long this can actually be sustained. Yeah.
When do you start auctioning the Hot Wheels collection, Graham?
Well, I already have been a wee bit. Can't buy any more Hot Wheels until I sell Hot Wheels. And that's a true thing. I've actually been selling off bits and pieces of collection because I just can't justify the considerable spend that actually is to bring stuff in from the States that I do. So that is not actually a funny question.
That's Graham's justification for the fact that, and I've traveled around America with Graham, is that he's now got a month and a half of stopping at every Walmart he goes within 50 kilometers of to search for Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Fair?
I'm not going to lie. He's right. I'm sorry. He's right.
Now, apparently someone is making money, and that is Turners. Turners Automotive Group has delivered record financial year 2024 earnings. Turners has again delivered record earnings for the financial year March 31st, 2024, underscoring its resilient earnings platform and the value of a diversified business model. So they say. It's well placed to exceed its financial year 25 net profit before tax target of 50 million and announced its new medium-term target of 65 million in financial year 28. The company reported a 7% increase in revenue to $417 million. That's nearly $500 million in used cars, people, and vehicle finance and all those other things. Increased its earnings before interest and tax 12% to 58.6 million. And net profit before tax increased 8% to 49.1, and after tax 33 million, because of course the government wants their slice. We're pleased to continue to deliver another record result for shareholders. Turners Automotive Group Chief Executive Todd Hunter says we continue to innovate, gain market share, and improve margins across all segments. And I think the lesson there is being big is good, and diversification. Diversification is very important. start looking at whatever that if you're not doing that service department down the back of the property well, do it better. If you're not doing well with your finance and insurance, do it better. May not save you now, but next time, all these little things start to add up. And
we spoke about that at AutoTalk Live.
Yes,
it was a very point made by the guys at Deloitte, actually said exactly that, is look at diversifying and doing the best you can out of those property need centres. I was going to say around Turners, a good point to make is that they have grown through market share, I think. So the market itself is no, in fact, the market's contracting across both new and used sectors, but Turners have made it a masterstroke to gobble up market share as they've gone. And so that result we're seeing is probably a case of Turners doing better as other parts of the industry get worse. It'd be nice to see the cake expanding in size. I don't think it is. I mean, the cake's shrinking a wee bit, but Turners are taking a slightly bigger slice every quarter we go through.
The great thing about the automotive industry, though, is the cake can only shrink for so long before the fleet starts to age and cars start to fall off the road. And that's it's the same thing we saw with COVID is, things look bad for a while, but the reality is that all those delayed purchases had to be made at some time. But we're just seeing a storm of everything that's hitting at the moment. I'm actually wondering, we saw the first home buyers grant drop this week. I wonder if we'll see a little bit of a blip of people who have gone, well, bugger it, that's me out of the market. I might as well go buy myself a nice car.
I don't know. I'd say probably not. The number of, if you look at the numbers in the scheme of first-home buyers that were looking at buying a house, I can't imagine there was going to be a flurry rushing off to save the industry, Richard. But nice thought.
No, I'm not saying a lot, but I'm saying a tiny blip. There might be a tiny blip. I reckon a couple of those skylines you're seeing in the corner, some young bloke might come in and say, "Well, I ain't getting a house now." Anyway, moving on. Couple of awards. Have some nice news. Bay City Mitsubishi wins 2023 Supreme Diamond Dealer Award. After 12 months of Mitsubishi Motors, New Zealand delivered its third biggest financial year with an overall 10.6 market share and a 51.6 market share for PHEV vehicles. The company celebrated its best performance at the annual Diamond Dealer Awards. They did 14,545 vehicles in the 2023 financial year, which is a lot. Some big results there. So let's run through a couple of the awards. The Diamond Dealers were Bay City Mitsubishi, Simon Lucas Mitsubishi, WR Phillips Mitsubishi, Mixted Mitsubishi, Ingham Mitsubishi, Piaco Mitsubishi, Delaney Mitsubishi, Bagent Motors, and Peter Kian Mitsubishi. Again, we always seem to see with this, it's the guys out of the big cities who do really well on these awards.
It is. Yep. Provincial New Zealand dealer, still trucking along.
Yep. Supreme Dealer, Bay City, Mitsubishi, and some individual awards there. Go have a look at those if you are a fan of Mitsubishi, or even if you just want to celebrate some good dealer news. Over at Nissan, Belclutha Nissan wins 2023 Elite Dealer Excellence Award. Again, it's the regionals. What are you doing, big city dealers? Rural dealership Belclutha Nissan has been awarded the brand's 2023 Elite Dealer Excellence Award. In recognition of this award, the dealership's owners, Jared and Carla McPhee, will join Nissan executives on an exclusive trip to South America. Take me with you to cover it. Barmer Nissan and Ebert Nissan Pukekohe were the other two dealership finalists for this award. The 2023 Nissan Financial Services Award was given to Armstrong Botany dealer principal, and I apologize to get this wrong, Lishay Batu. Excellence in customer service and sales and customer experience award went to Jim Wright Nissan, Dean Gray, and Ebert Pukekohe, Ross Shepherd, and Belclutha Nissan, Jared McPhee. Excellence in After Sales Award went to Farmer Nissan, Martin Nunes, Brian Tuncliffe Nissan, Brian Tuncliffe, and Nicholson Whakatane, Brad McKenzie. Interesting again, it's regional ones, and some of those awards are going to the guy whose name is on the tin. So, yeah.
Do you know why? In brief, I come from a rural background myself and upbringing, and I understand a wee bit about how that relationship, at least it used to work. In those regional centres, there is far more of a relationship between a client, usually long-term, and their dealership. They could have been a Nissan or a Mitsubishi buyer for many, many years now, and it's all the way through the fleet, the farm vehicles, it's the vehicle for the family, it's the car for the kids, car for their workers. If you live in a big city like Auckland or Wellington or Christchurch, there's a lot of choice, even within the brand that you choose. If you're a Mitsubishi buyer, for example, there are multiple sites, and the multiple sites tend to compete against each other for the client base. Out in Whakatane or Ingham's territory, for example, or the Mexted boys, for example, it is very much a case of a regional group of people that you probably know in all your life. You could have gone to school with them, generations of it.
And it's usually
so hard to beat.
It's so often husband and wife team, and the husband makes his contacts through the Rotary Club, and the wife makes her contacts through Zonda or the Countrywomen's Institute, and they sell cars that way. And
it's hard to beat.
And there's been some legacy stuff in the industry where you saw it for a long time. Mitsubishi kind of held quite a good grip on some of the rural regions because they left small dealers in place in those places and those relationships in place. So don't sleep on your rural and regional dealers, guys. They do the business. Now, Australia passes its clean car standard into law, so its version of a clean car standard. The Australian federal government has passed its new vehicle efficiency standards bill, NVES, into law and budgeted $150 million for the implementation to begin on January 1, 2025. The NVES legislation sets the pathway for Australia's automotive industry to transition to a low and zero emissions future. It's got some tough targets, apparently, but they are piss weak compared to New Zealand's. But you would not know that considering the amount of bitching that went on, particularly in the media over there. And you had members dropping out of the peak body over there. You had people who should know better basically claiming the cost of the fees on some vehicles were basically the same as if that company had never ever sold an electrified or low emissions vehicle again. And basically they just said, here's what it could cost on a Land Cruiser. Let's ignore the fact that's entirely balanced out by the company selling probably 1,000 hybrid Corollas or 1,000 hybrid Camrys to every Land Cruiser we sell. But anyway.
Yeah, the attack ad's something else. That I work part-time in Australia for an industry association that happens to represent the used sector. The attack ad was something else to see, and a little bit embarrassing, actually. I thought a little bit embarrassing. But there you are. That is Australia.
Speaking of embarrassing, if people are wondering why I keep putting my hands up, I have an AI-powered webcam. And so if I put my hand up, it flashes and it starts following me around. And so I'll do that. Fancy. I'll do that accidentally with my gesticulating, and then I have to put my hand up again to turn it off again. It's very annoying.
Mine's good.
Very annoying. Yeah. Right. Now, a couple more stories we'll run through very quickly, Graham. Very quickly. Mercedes-Benz appoints new chief executive for Australia and New Zealand, a dual citizen of Mexico and the United States. Is it Jamie Cohen or is it Jaime Cohen? James Cohen? I don't know. 59 has been appointed the new chief executive of Mercedes-Benz Australia Pacific and Mercedes-Benz New Zealand Limited, based in Melbourne. He succeeds the former chief executive of the brand in both countries, Florian Seidler, who has returned to a new position in Germany. Cohen is charged with running the brand's operations in Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific region. He has worked for the company for more than 35 years. So he is one very experienced person in the automotive industry leading a brand. In New Zealand, we have a slightly different approach being taken, and I think in a positive way. A former 1NZ exec has been picked to head Ford New Zealand. So in a very, really rare move, Ford has gone outside the automotive industry to get a new leader for the company. So a senior executive with experience at Telco 1NZ and Coca-Cola has been picked to lead Ford New Zealand. Traditionally, Ford appoints its execs from its global network, but this time the brand hired locally. Annalise Atina has been named managing director. She takes on the role from Simon Rutherford, who's been appointed to a new regional role within the Ford International Markets Group. But he gets to stay in New Zealand. So he's going to be working out of the Ford New Zealand office, but he's actually working overseas. He just didn't want to leave the country. So he's got the best of both worlds, I think.
I think so.
We're excited to have Annalise joining the Ford family and look forward to her insights and ideas gained from her wealth of experience as Andrew Burkick, President and CEO of Ford Australia and New Zealand. Ford will certainly benefit from her perspective and the new lens she can put on serving our customers. So she's previously been with, as we said, 1NZ and Coca-Cola. She has some great connections out there. A member of Global Woman and the Institute of Directors NZ. She's a passionate technologist and board member of the Technology Users Association New Zealand, and is head coach of the Ambition Collective, founded to uplift women in business, and newly appointed principal. So hopefully she'll be joining our friends over at Women in Automotive New Zealand. I think it's an interesting appointment. Ford is a very traditional brand with a very traditional market, and they really do need to start reaching outside. They've got a lot of technology coming, a lot of electric vehicles coming. I'm going off to drive the new electric Transit Custom, that kind of stuff. So I think a new eye on that will be interesting, as long as the Mustangs keep coming, Graham?
Yeah, as long as she keeps the tiller on that one, she'll be just fine. But it's a good point you raise, is that Ford, I think, is at a bit of a crossroads about what their new product mix, and this is excluding Ranger, of course, what that looks like and how that represents the brand. And if you notice her previous connections, they've been very much around brand-centric, just stellar household name brands, which you'd argue and say that Ford is certainly one of those as well. So having somebody that's got that level of experience in delivering the expectations of a brand to the range is no bad thing at all. I guess watch the space.
Yes. Now, JQ, which we've discussed a few times lately because I was in China with them, is set for local launch in July. Now, we've already seen the Amoda brand launch, where the JQ brand is coming too. It's more of their premium brand. So after successfully launching Omoda in April, we welcome JQ to the fleet in July. Omoda JQ country manager Sheldon Humphrey says the JQ brand aims to combine all-round capabilities with new energy solutions, creating a more efficient and environmentally friendly off-road driving experience, he says. They've got a J7 coming in normal combustion and PHEV versions, and they've got some other stuff coming as well, with some pretty impressive range and fuel economy. Go read my story about the China trip with the Motor JQ in the latest AutoTalk. It's quite the yarn. I've kind of gone a little bit off track with it and just talked about the whole China experience. Bit of fun. But interesting to see another brand coming here. Now, Mad Mike has got himself a truck. Now he's more known generally. He's more known generally for his ties to the Mazda brand, but of course Mazda doesn't have a Ute anymore, so he needed a new tow wagon. He needed a new tow wagon, so he now has a Chevy. He's got a Chevy. So Global Motorsport personality Michael Widdett, aka Mad Mike, I think we've seen him called Michael before, has been appointed as a brand ambassador with a new Chevrolet Silverado heavy-duty HD truck by GM Specialty Vehicles, GMSV, long name. I've got one of these booked in a couple of months' time, Graham, by the way.
Hey, I'm in Henderson, Richard. You know my address, don't you?
Might be a roadie. Widdett has been supplied with
carry on.
Yeah, Widdett has been supplied with a Chevrolet Silverado heavy-duty truck as a tow vehicle, plus a new ZR2 to be personalized in his Mad Lab at the Hampton Downs racetrack. So he gets 2 trucks. We're thrilled to welcome Mad Mike into the GMSV team and announce the Chevrolet Silverado as his official tow partner. GM Australia and New Zealand Managing Director Jess Barler says Mike will play a pivotal role in introducing a fun element to our brand and demonstrate how a Chevrolet Silverado can help not only tow your trucks and haul motocross bikes, but also get you and your family into the back and beyond, then safely home again using an awful lot of fuel.
Brought to you by...
I took one away for the weekend and it cost $500.
This advertisement is brought to you by...
Yes, that's what brought to you by my Card Smart fuel card.
But this is a good story. I don't know Mike personally, but I was racing at the same time as he was thanging around with a hat on backwards in his, had an 808 wagon with a rotary and an RX3 front, and he famously on the drag strip at Mary dropped the clutch and the flywheel actually pistoned out through the scuttle panel of his wagon and put a great clean big slot in it with the flywheel flying. Talk about a local boy done good. He's probably more famous overseas now. He has Hot Wheels. He has a Hot Wheels line in his honor. So global ambassador for Hot Wheels and his son as well. And I think his work he does in America and Japan, for example, it's possibly not as well known in New Zealand as he should be. This guy has been making it big on the world stage. And
it's interesting. He's managed to stay brand agnostic. Like he's very tied to Mazda, but he's also managed to clear it with them enough that he's done Lamborghinis, he's done a whole pile of the vehicle. I think he's working on a McLaren or something at the moment as well. And now this GMSV partnership, he knows how to market himself. I was around back in the early days of when he was starting drifting, getting into the drifting scene, and there was some niggle within the scene at the time, and that some would argue he wasn't the peak drifter in New Zealand, but he was getting all the attention. But that's the reality. He's very good at branding. He's very good at making a market. I think he sees it as much as a business and as an opportunity as he does a sport, and that's what people like. And that he can work with his partners to not just do what he wants to do and achieve his sport goals and do some interesting things, but give them the promotion they need at the same time. Sport can be a business.
And he's quintessentially Kiwi overseas. He's actually a really good ambassador for New Zealand too. So let's not forget that as well. Well done. Well done, Mike. Michael?
Yeah, I know. I've never heard him called that before. That's kind of weird. Now, Leap Motor. Leap Motor is likely coming to New Zealand via Stellantis. So what that means here, we don't yet know. This is another Chinese brand. They have electric vehicles, PHEVs, hybrids. They've got two models, the T03 small electric car and the C10 SUV, which looks a lot like a nice little electric station wagon, which so many of my friends have been asking for electric station wagons. So that's another one that's interesting, could be coming here late this year, we believe. So there you go, people. If you're after yet another Chinese brand, Leap Motor is on the way. See what those are like. BYD Shark Ute due in New Zealand soon. Now, this got revealed officially in Mexico last week, and with a few details about it. It is a PHEV. It's going to be here at Field Days on June 12. What do we got here? The specifications out of Mexico, so not necessarily fixed for New Zealand. Say 30 kilowatt battery, combined range of 840 kilometers, a 100 kilometer electric range, acceleration from 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds, and fuel economy rated at 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Of course, that's if you were to go and do it all in one lot, as opposed to actually, like doing 100k a day like most people do. A payload of 835 kg, but only a 2.5 ton tow rating. So that's a little bit interesting, but that's not fixed for New Zealand yet. The interesting thing about all that is that we've been told there's actually 2 more BYD utes coming. So this may not be the one that, gets right up against there with the Ranger, but I think it'll get close. Looks good. It's
been talked about a lot. So
now when this arrives, Graham, you and I need to put it properly to the test. I'm thinking like the Motu Road or something similar. Have a think about some
proper ute territory.
Yeah,
I have a farm. We can go play on. Actually, we can't play on my farm because the last time we played utes on my farm, we made such a mess that I was so.
What was that, Graham? What? I can't hear you.
Guess what I towed out? I won't go there. Go the mighty Ranger.
Anyway,
Richard got stuck. Everyone, Richard got stuck.
I can't remember. Did I get stuck?
Yeah, you did. You had a great big Dodge Ram. It was either a 2500 or a 3500.
I thought I just cut up. I just thought I just cut up the grass.
No, we got all sorts of pickles in that paddock, and we cut up the grass, and yeah. Anyway, just saying.
Last story of the day: JLS supplies VIP guest transport to Park Hyatt Auckland. Jaguar Land Rover New Zealand has signed an exclusive partnership with Park Hyatt Auckland Hotel to supply luxury plug-in hybrid vehicles for VIP guest transportation. So there you go. They've got some nice ranges there. The interesting thing about that story is that brand launched with BMW. So the Park Hyatt was BMW. It was a BMW shop for a while. So they've switched camps.
Okay.
Well done at stealing that business there, JLR. Anyway, that's it for today. Our express issue has ended up being 34 minutes. I'm going to have to go and get ready to jump in the car and head to Auckland. So we will catch everyone. I think I can do next week.
I don't know if I can. So I'm going to say sayonara, everybody, because I'm off next week for nearly 6 weeks in the United States of America.
When do you fly next week?
Tuesday.
Let's try.
So I will be somewhere, I think, in the Front Range of the Rockies on Friday. I think Front Range of the Rockies. I don't know where. Anywhere from Cannon City up to Durango, up to Leadville. Who knows? So we'll try. It'll be
we can record some
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we can record some more Express editions.
I reckon. But anyway, folks, I will see you physically in about 6 weeks. Richard can turn the lights off as he leaves and swans off. I'm flying economy, by the way. Richard can swan off in business class, and we'll leave the news until we're both back in the same place online.
Okay, catch you later.